welcome back to the Socially Distant Sports Bar. Elis, Mike, are we all good?
Very well. How are you?
I enjoyed a sunshiny day in the park, so I'm kind of, full of joy.
Well done, mate. You caught the sun nice as well.
I have. It's a nice little shiny red.
I don't know what you're wearing. You look like, obviously this is a podcast,
Yes.
but you look like a guardsman from Buckingham Palace without the bearskin.
It's an old Wales
is it?
tracksuit top.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the collar.
the
It's the
rugby-
collar that threw me. That's nice.
Yeah.
though.
You look like a physio during the Mike Ruddock era.
That's the look he's going for.
Dream job.
You both watched Everton-Liverpool just now.
Yes, yeah.
What a shocking game of football.
Out of interest, are you crowd noise on or crowd noise off?
I didn't know there was an option, so I was crowd noise on.
Okay.
Crowd noise off for the first time today to see what it was like, and it made a bad game worse.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of quite sniffy attitudes about this on Twitter. So if you got the crowd noise on, what you really miss actually is crowds are not the game of football. Yes, football's shit without crowds.
That's certainly one of the things I miss. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm no football expert, as we all know, but I'm a Liverpool fan for what it's worth. But I've waited 13 weeks for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not tactically astute enough to understand the ins and outs of it, but I think you probably should press them in their half, somewhere in their half. Anyway, you haven't got to press them to their box or anything, but at least don't give them the first half of the pitch for 90 minutes.
Especially because that's what Liverpool or Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool are known for.
And that Lovren, is it Lovren?
Yeah, Dejan Lovren.
I'm not being funny. He looked like he was playing on ice skates. He fell over like 4 times. No one pushed him. He just sort of fell over his feet.
Maybe he hasn't done anything for 30 weeks. That's the first time he's got up off the settee.
I could do a job for him, is what I'm saying. I'm 48 years of age. I'm pushing 19 stone. But I will do a job. Yeah. Yeah.
Pushing 19.
I'm bullshitting. I'm 19 stone 10. I'm not pushing 19. I pushed 19. I pushed 19 a while ago. I know.
You're pushing out of 19.
I'm pushing 19 from the top down.
I think I must have said this on the podcast before. You wear it very well. When I put a little bit of weight on, I look awful because we've got quite different physiques. But you could put another stone on and you'd still look all right.
I could pass for 18 and a half stone easy, couldn't I? The most terrifying thing at the moment is if my camera on my phone is accidentally on selfie mode, and I got to take a photograph of the kids or my missus were in the park or something.
Yeah.
And to catch myself unawares is a fucking frightening prospect, honestly. I look like Jabba the Hutt with a moustache.
When I was only doing circuit comedy as a stand-up, during my what I now refer to as pork pie English mustard and Doombar at midnight era.
Years.
Yeah. I put on. I was the heaviest I've ever been in my early 30s. And my little sister's a midwife, and one Christmas she looked at me and she said, "If I'd lost your notes, I would look at you and assess you and assume you were 35 weeks pregnant."
Oh God, dear. Well, that's what I put mine on too. I mean, I've mentioned my arse before, my legs, but mine just goes purely. You know, when we look at where unhealthy weight goes for a man.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I'm the unhealthy shape. I'm the sort of toffee apple. My legs stay the same. My arse stays the same. My face stays broadly the same.
Yeah.
But I've just got the space hopper going on. And that's been in 12, 13 weeks. I was getting back in decent nick. I'm scared for it to be hard work to train. That's my problem at the moment.
What do you mean?
When I train, I want to train in a way that doesn't in any way exert me or make me feel uncomfortable.
It's all you've got to do, Mike, is tell yourself on a daily basis that you're going to radically change the way you live your life. That's all it takes. Just a radical transformation. That's all you need to do.
I'm a proper Monday merchant, right? I think I'm going to start on Monday.
Mañana.
When Monday rolls around, when Monday rolls around, it doesn't happen. I think it's fine now. Fuck it. I've knackered this Monday. I'll have to wait till next Monday.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that now since, I don't know, 2007.
Do you reckon if you went to prison, you would be one of those guys who was absolutely ripped?
No, I reckon I'd be one of those guys who was absolutely scared. I'd be very, very frightened. And I can guarantee to you that I would be let out on good behaviour because, my God, I'd behave in there.
Oh,
and it
that library would be spotless.
God, yeah. Everyone would be getting double helpings if I was on
man.
kitchen duty.
I'd be terrified in prison.
Yes.
For two reasons. One is, I'm quite a big lad, and I think people would think, you think you're a bit of a tough guy. I'll show you what tough is.
Yeah.
Right? And that would be fairly terrifying. But also, you can't get away from this. I'm a good-looking bloke, and I got a great ass,
Yeah.
as we mentioned before.
You're also very good company, Mike. so people are gonna fall in love with you.
Hey, companionship's fine, right?
It's not just his looks.
He's the full package.
me and Bubba.
If they want to just sit around, hold hands, and tell stories,
You know,
I'm
I've
up
only
for
been
that.
on a couple of dates with him, but my God, he listens.
Some of his stories.
Yeah, he listens to me, man. You know, like when I talk, he really listens.
He just lies there on the bottom bunk and we chat.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What's Elis like? He cries loads. He's always crying. It's terrifying. His eyes are dry, but he's still sort of doing the dry sobbing.
Yes. How about you, Steff? How do you get in prison? You'd be okay?
No, I did. No. I'm probably the weakest of the three of us.
I reckon he'd be very good at keeping quiet. I worked with someone who'd been in prison. I asked him what it was like. And he said it was like youth club, but with adults. And everyone's still fighting around a pool table.
I'd like to think that I could sort of, if I was inside, I'd do a sort of David Crosby, and I'd get them all singing. I'd get them into like singing, we'd have a bit of a laugh, we'd get a bit of a glee club going.
I think what I would do, I would be like the long-haired character in Scum. I'd go barefoot, stop eating meat, and just try and persuade everyone to think that I was some sort of nutter that you didn't mess with.
Just eating your own shit and stuff. Just,
Well, I'm not sure I'd go that
first
far.
day in. First day on community service, like planting flowers on a roundabout.
Smeared
Just
in your
smearing himself in his own shit.
Big mouthful of shit.
What are you doing now?
Stay away from the new lad.
Yeah.
You've only got 40 hours community service.
Ellis, an open prison. It's fine. Jeffrey Archer's over there.
You just got a fine out.
People say prison's not a deterrent. I cannot stress this enough. It really is. I'm very, very scared of prison, even though I've done nothing wrong.
I tell you who doesn't get deterred by prison, shall I? Criminals. So it's entirely pointless, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
The people that you're supposed to put off go to prison don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So the people like me and you and Steff that care about it.
Yeah. The podcasting community are all terrified of prison.
There's that romantic, isn't there? There's there like a romantic vision of prison. Like if you've seen like The Longest Yard or you've seen
Porridge.
You know, Porridge is the one, isn't it? Oh, Porridge, Grouty. Unfortunately, Grouty in real life is an Albanian who'll kill everyone you know, right? He's not just a nice old English character actor who will steal your fags.
I worked with a prison warden for quite a long time, and he said that of all the prison programmes, if Porridge had fighting, it would have been the most realistic because of all the scams and stuff. He said Porridge was the best one. It's just it wasn't violent.
Porridge with more violence.
I think I would try and turn every conversation back to football, but would never at any stage give away who I supported.
Oh, God,
no colours. Yeah.
No,
team colours.
I just want football to be the winner, actually. Yeah, I'm just more interested in the mechanics
Football
of the
league,
game.
Football league.
What do you like? I like what you like. Yeah, I like all of the music you like.
I'm easy, really. Easy going.
Yeah. Very, very easy going with no firm opinions.
Righty, this week then, we've got a belter of a documentary, which is Elis's pick, coming up in a little while. Mike, what have you gone for clip number one for this week?
In the week, Willie Thorne passed away, right? And Willie Thorne, he's one of those characters from the real heyday of snooker, which was the 1980s, when it just seemed to be everywhere. And snooker players were, you could probably name the top 20 snooker players that were all household names. Willie passed away. This is the Matchroom Boys. This is Barry Hearn and the boys singing Snooker Loopy.
Snooker Loopy, that's our way. Me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pop the wrist in, screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy, that's our way. We're all Snooker Loopy.
I love that. video, obviously, right? For lots of reasons. I love Chaz and Dave, right? I've seen Chaz and Dave loads of times. I love the brass of Hearn in that.
Yes.
The brass of it, because he signed all of those players, right? Everyone who's ever in snooker, he is signed, right? He then talks about it in the video. And basically says, I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, I'm winning.
There's a verse about that.
There's a verse about the fact that Hearn doesn't care who wins because he still wins.
Yeah.
Because there was all the sorts of, and I don't think it was the case, but there was all the controversy around the Dennis Taylor match, which was a massive ratings winner.
18.5 million people.
Oh, it's crazy.
The thing that a lot of people don't realise or have forgotten is that as a television event, snooker in the mid-80s was more popular than football.
It was absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. And everywhere, you know. So, like I was saying to my wife the other day, I said, and she's not particularly into sport, but we named probably 30 snooker players from the 80s.
Yeah.
Just off the top of our heads. And it wasn't, it was like Sloveno Francisco and these Tony Mio and these weird names.
Bill Werbeniuk used to drink 16 pints and play.
Right. Bill Werbeniuk.
Yeah.
I know a bit about Bill Werbeniuk.
Okay.
He's obviously Canadian snooker player, great moustache.
Yeah.
Always wore a three-piece suit. All good, right? Bill Werbeniuk had the shakes.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
Right.
So he was one of the very few people, when he was playing professional snooker, he could have 6 pints a day on prescription, right? He had a doctor's prescription for 6 pints of lager a day, right?
I mean,
very 80s prescription.
I'd worry about that doctor.
Dr. Z.
Yeah, Dr. Z's really earning the coin.
There's a famous story about Bill Werbeniuk and a fellow called Eddie Sinclair, who was a Scottish pro. Werbeniuk once challenged Sinclair to a pint per frame. Last man standing wins, right? After 42 frames, right? In the 43rd frame, Eddie Sinclair basically passed out, right? At which point, Bill Werbeniuk apparently said, I'm off to the bar to get a real drink. And then he went on the whiskies. When he played John Spencer, I think in Australia, he drank 76 beers during the match.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, So Bill, but Willie Thorne's got one of those faces, right? There's certain people I just like the look of. They just look like I want to spend time with you. You look like a nice, funny bloke.
Yes.
And Willie Thorne always had that look, and he was very self-effacing. Do you know what I mean? He had that lovely, big, happy face and that moustache and the bald head. He was much younger than he looked back in the 80s.
He looked like something out of Tintin, I always used to think, Willie Thorne.
Yeah. But I just, that Snooker Loopy, and one thing about that Snooker Loopy thing is the Chaz and Dave, on the back of that and a couple of other songs they did, became this sort of novelty fun act.
Yes.
And it was only sort of the last sort of 10, 15 years that they got recognised once again as being, I would say, without any hyperbole, probably England's best folk band, right? They're certainly in the running for it, if not. I mean, things like Ain't No Pleasing You is one of the best songs ever written. But they do Snooker Loopy, right?
One of my great regrets, actually, is I had tickets to go and see them at the Kentish Town Forum a few Christmases ago with Rob Beckett, and we both got gigs and then couldn't go and give the ticket away. And then obviously, which one's died? Is it Chaz?
Chaz,
yeah. But obviously, and I never got to see them live. But
I saw them in Swansea Grand.
Right.
We had tickets for it, but it was when Dave's wife died, right? So this is about 10 years ago. But it was brilliant because Chaz was there with his band, and the first half did all the sort of stuff he did in the 60s, loads of covers and loads of good stuff from the 60s, and then did the Chaz and Dave stuff in the second half, which was really good, but it was only Chaz.
Yeah.
So like when he did Rabbit, it was hilarious. He was like, Rabbit, Rabbit, Rabbit.
It's like any call and response if you haven't got the guy doing the response. Nice
with
to
your
see
incessant
you.
talking, why don't you give it a rest? Rabbit, Rabbit,
Come on, guys. Come on.
Rabbit. But this anyway. So Snooker Loopy. Look at the stable he had there. Like you said, when snooker's bigger than football, right? Get more people watching it than football, but you haven't got to pay 50 players on 2 squads, right? And you haven't got to pay the upkeep on a 70,000 or 60,000 seater stadium, right? All you've got to pay for is you've got the room, you've got a referee, you've got a snooker table that you hired for the week, right? So Hearn's making an awful lot of money.
And also, because the players are good, very, very unlikely you've got to recloth the table.
You're not going to do it in Inspector Clouseau, are you?
It's not like a youth club pool table.
Terry Griffiths is not going to cut the bays.
Terry Griffiths. I remember Terry.
Shit.
I remember going to watch Carmarthen Town play. Is it Buryport or Ferrysides?
Right.
That he's from, because he's a supporter of his ultra local club.
Did you just say he's an ultra?
He's
the most softly spoken ultra of all time.
Snooker. You remember the Snooker player?
Snooker.
What I will never forget. Everyone knew he was there because obviously Terry Griffiths is famous. He won the raffle. So Carmarthen Town at the time.
Did he put it back in?
Carmarthen Town did a raffle at the time. Everyone bought a ticket for £1. The prize was £25. And Peter Griffiths was the mayor of Carmarthen, the match day announcer. Oh, we've got the winner of today's raffle. It's a green ticket, number 179. Green 179. So Terry gets up. Whole ground boos him because he's
having that.
Give that fucking money back to the club, Terry, man.
Put it back in, Terry. Fair play to Terry Griffiths, right? Obviously, these days you can't just show sport these days, right? We got on everyone's backstory, what your favourite colour is, what your nickname is, and all the other bullshit that goes with it, right? So when they were showing the World Championship Snooker about 3-4 years ago on BBC, they were doing those horrible sort of talking heads. They got the black background and they do a bit to camera.
Yeah.
It was Terry Griffiths doing this bit to camera, right? It was hilarious. I wish I taped it. And he goes, snooker is the ultimate test of a man's fortitude and strength of character. It is an ultimate game of strategy, keeping you cool. It is mano a mano. There is nowhere to hide on the green bays. In my opinion, the closest thing to snooker is war. I thought, you've got to be shitting me, haven't you? I said, Terry, the closest thing to snooker is going to be fucking pool or billiards, you burners.
Billiards?
War. I just imagine being stuck in like a foxhole in Helmand province, you're shitting yourself. Yeah. You've dialed in for some extra support and here comes Nigel Bond over the crest of the hill, right? Just swinging a cue ball in a sock.
Yeah. When you
the closest thing to snooker is war.
When you used to go to Korea's days as a school kid, and there'd be the army stand. The army stand. They're like, I'm thinking of joining the army actually. Oh yeah. Played any snooker in your time? Yeah, a little
toss
bit.
Up, huh? Army or snooker? Very similar. Chalking your bayonet, hoping the best.
War after pool and billiards.
Chalking your bayonet.
going into the Bora Bora caves with like 2 chalked bayonets in your hands.
Shall I hit him with a triangle? Yeah, go on then, do that.
I remember my friend Mark and I going to, I think it was the Savoy Snooker Centre in Barry. And I thought they were taking the piss. I was expecting like Jeremy Beadle to jump out because I couldn't believe how big the table was.
Yeah.
So we put like 50p in, like you get your half an hour of light on the table, like 50p. I thought, what the fuck? We haven't got through the Reds in half an hour.
I'm exactly the same. I'd played quite a lot of pool, and then I went down to Terry Griffiths Snooker Club in Carmarthen with my mate Gareth, and we played for about
full camo gear.
Yeah, we played for about war paint on. And we played for about 40 minutes in pot anything. Snooker, I would say, if you're not brilliant at snooker is horrible to play.
Oh, it's rubbish.
It's rubbish and hard. The table is too fucking big.
We never potted 2 balls in a row.
No.
The whole time we played.
Horrible game.
Terry Griffiths chucking grenades at you around the bar. That's why.
Yeah, he's got a pin in his mouth.
Not now, Terry.
Whenever I've been in a snooker club or a snooker hall, there is a slight air of menace. I went to the one Riley's on City Road. Is that one still there?
Oh, that is. Cardiff? Yeah. Well, it's flats now. No, it's just.
When I was a student, I remember going in there, and after about 5 minutes, thinking, I think I'm going to go play pool at a pub, actually. I'm not sure I fancy this.
It's really scary.
I went in there with my mate Lee, and we got accused of being in the CID by 2 idiots. Because I had the audacity to wear a shirt. I had a shirt on, like a plain white shirt and a pair of trousers. Because I'm not really like a t-shirt and jeans man usually, right?
Undercover cop trying to blend in.
Yeah.
And he's like,
"Hi guys."
He's like,
anyone fancy a bit of billiards?
Yeah, I'm not a copper. hate the bloody old bill, actually. Smoking anyone smelled pork, not me, because I bloody hate the police.
he's fucking CD you, mate. I said, what? Fucking CID you? I said, no, I'm not CID. What do you do then? I said, it's got fucking to do with you, is it? Ah, you fucking CID, mate. I said, I'm not CID, am I? You look like you're fucking CID, mate. I went, right. If I was fucking CID, I wouldn't be in here in uniform, would I? I wouldn't take my badge and my helmet off and stroll in here for a game of snooker. You Burke.
Just remember, this is a sports podcast. We haven't talked
Yes.
about...
So, yes.
Talked
Oh,
about
yeah,
sport
just
for about a quarter of an hour now.
Anyway, Willie Thorne.
Yeah.
Willie Thorne.
A fitting tribute there to the life and times of Willie Thorne. Right, Al, what have you brought as your first clip for this round?
Oh my gosh. Well, in tribute to the BBC showing their first live top flight football since 1988.
Really?
This is, because ITV got the rights in, and then obviously it was Sky when the Premier League began in 92-93.
Bloody hell.
This is one of my favourite memories from childhood, because I remember watching this as it happened. This is Grandstand from April the 1st, 1989.
Well, I hope that gave you a smile. But as I understand it, you may have seen a bit of an altercation behind me at the start of the programme. We can only apologise. But in the great tradition of television sport, let's just see that again. Well, it was quite remarkable, in fact. Dave started the fight. Apparently, Richard gave him a wrong result. Dave didn't like it. John came to the rescue. See John moving in there. The other Dave was involved too. And then, of course, there was Peter on the left. Well, Peter got really stuck, and it was absolutely quite remarkable there for a moment or two, as you see.
My favourite quote: "We'll continue to do our best to cover sport in the way that you like, backed up by our highly professional team." Lineham's poker face in that is superb. And I would have loved to know whose idea it was, and whether they rehearsed it, and what he could see. Because if I was presenting in front of millions, and obviously Des was famously unflappable, that was his thing. But I reckon I'd have given the game away and started laughing, because I just find it so funny.
You look at Des Lynam, and there's just like a rapport with people watching him straight away. He's got that lovely little twinkle in his eye. You know, you always get the feeling that he thinks, I got the best job in the world. You know,
I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think it might be England's first game of France '98.
Go on.
If any of our listeners who know anything about economics can tell me what the term is, there was a term that was all over the press and all over the news coverage of that game in particular, where so many people decide to take the day off, it has a knock-on effect on the economy, and economists have a name for it, but I can't remember what it is. But this England game, I think it might be in England-Romania, I don't know, was that France '98, and the music starts, and Linehan looks at the camera and says, "Hello. Shouldn't you be at work?" And he's like, "Yes, we're in."
Yes.
Also, the three of us are old enough to remember Grandstand in its heyday.
Oh, God.
What a programme!
Yes.
Linehan presented 83 to 91, which is absolutely my high point for Grandstand watching.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Because there was World of Sport was on ITV on the other side.
Yeah,
until the
Dickie
late 80s.
Davis.
But we were very much a BBC family. I've got no memory of World of Sport at all. I don't even know.
That's such a funny sentence, but we were as well.
But I don't remember the
we were. It's called middle class, mate. That's right.
But
because all the kids from the rough estate were watching wrestling on ITV World of Sport. That's why.
I did used to watch the wrestling on ITV, Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks and all that. But I used to sit. I used to sit and watch
Rollerball Rocco.
I used to sit and watch Grandstand, the entire programme, and if you'd asked me in 1988, I could have told you who was in the starting lineup for Warrington and Widnes and Castleford.
Yeah.
He's a big lad that's crook, she'll take some stopping. Joel Agin, water, try.
Ellery Hanley!
Well, he's going to take some stopping, he's a big lad that's crooks.
But
That's very good.
The Vidi printer. I should really have been out playing,
the
but I would
Vidi
just
printer.
sit and watch the Vidi printer.
The way that bloke used to read him out, there was a particular way that he read it.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, it was like 4, 4, 3,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
5, 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
There's
Queen
an,
of the South
there's an
won.
upward inflection for the
Queen
win.
of the South
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
Hibernian 1.
You
You just
Yes.
knew it was going to be that, that sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing the Scottish League for, Christ knows, but I mean,
I used to think, because of the way they did it on
Stenhouse
Grandstand,
knew a 3.
I thought that
Kilmarnock.
you got relegated from Division 4 to the Scottish leagues because of the order they did them in.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Grandstand.
yeah. That's
what
amazing.
I thought happened. I thought that Newport
that's-
County were at one stage going to have to play in Scotland.
Yeah, against Wraith Rovers.
I liked Lynham so much that I even prepared to forgive him for taking part in an April Fool's Day spoof, because I hate April Fool's Day spoofs. If you're the sort of Burke who gets dragged into an April Fool's Day joke on April the 1st, you deserve to be locked up.
I must admit, I am not a prankster. And I think pranksters are some of society's worst law-abiding.
If you can't avoid pranks on the one day of the year when every tossbag thinks that they're going to do a prank on you, right?
Yeah.
If you can't be that switched on for 24 hours...
That said, around this time, April Fool's Day, I would say 87, 88, Dad's getting in the shower, getting ready for work. Mum shouts, Eirvil, the car's been stolen. Dad shits himself,
fucking
jumps out of
amazing.
the shower, cupping himself.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 hands.
Lo-
Do the survey.
sees that the car's on the
Part
drive.
of the podcast.
Lovely humour.
Just fill out this bit of paperwork before
Yeah,
you sign.
Great bit of humour.
Yeah. I remember my mother and my sister thought it was hilarious when I was about 12, right? And I started drinking coffee at a young age, right? I can remember now. Dad had gone to work. Mum and my sister were there. They made coffee, Mike. Thanks, Mum. Came downstairs, 12 years old, drank a coffee, took a big swig of coffee that Mum had put salt in. So, 2 things. One, it could have killed me, right? Yeah, you drink like a teaspoon of salt or something, or like a tablespoonful of salt in solution. Not going to do you much good at 12 years of age.
Yeah,
Do you
but
good?
it's not gonna kill
I mean,
you,
long,
is it?
long term, it might have killed you.
Yeah.
And I remember I just threw the coffee mug. I went fucking ballistic. I was so angry. I said, it's an April Fool's joke. I said, well, even at 12, I thought, how sad is that?
Yeah.
I just like the idea that if Mike was involved in this April Fool's Day prank, that there would have been blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When they do, it's all fun and games until they do that sort of. I know the idea behind it is that it's supposed to be sporting, but then they do the replay,
Yeah.
and it just exposes it as a really lame attempt.
Yeah.
And looking like you're fighting. Some bloke like grabbing another bloke by the waistband a bit. Right? I thought, what a shit fight that is.
You'd have livened that
Oh,
one up.
God. And it's great BBC mid-80s. I mean, there wasn't, everyone there's called like Dave or Terry. They're all like some fucking lame old white bloke, guaranteed. The whole place is full of them. So there's those dickheads in that era that ruined it for people like Stefan in the
Yeah.
2000s.
He's the reason he's podcasting from a bedsit.
They derailed the gravy train, those pricks.
All I want is a bit of gravy. I just want a splash of gravy.
Just a boat, I don't want a train.
in the holes between the beef and the roast potatoes. Just want a little bit of
Just
gravy.
fill up a Yorkshire for me. I'll be fine with that.
What sort of pension is that?
It's like a bloody surprise 40th birthday party. I had one. I had a surprise 40th birthday party. Well, I wasn't remotely surprised by it. My wife, God bless her, she's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? Nothing. Don't like getting older. It's fine. No, it's your 40th though. I said, no, it's fine. I said, don't make a big deal about it. It's fine. Oh, let's do something. I said, all right, we'll do something little then. Let's just go for a couple of drinks, shall we? I said, yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a killjoy, but that'd be fine, yeah. Oh, what are you thinking of wearing for your birthday? I said, what am I going to wear? I said, I don't know, like a paisley shirt and a pair of jeans, probably.
My CID gear that I wear to the Snooker Club.
I said, a shirt and trousers, probably. Why? Oh. Why didn't you put your jumpsuit on? I was like, oh, God. I said, what, my Elvis jumpsuit, yeah? Yeah. All right. Couple of quiet drinks, yeah? Yeah. Okay.
Couple of quiet.
Where are we going? Where are we going? Golf club. Okay, yeah, because I don't play golf at the moment. I haven't been to the golf club since 1983, but... So I went to the fucking Bryn Hill Golf Club, right, in Barry.
Dressed as Elvis.
In a jumpsuit, yeah, on a Saturday night. To open the door, people to go, surprise! Yeah. Fucking
oh, wow. Lame. Hi, Mum.
Oh. Yeah, thank you. But as soon as I guessed it before I turned up, obviously, and then she was angry with me. She said, why have you got to spoil it for? I said, what do you mean spoil it for? It was going to be a big surprise for you. I said, Kevin, wearing a fucking jumpsuit at a golf club. It's not a surprise. I'm not trying to spoil it. It's just obvious what you're doing.
I haven't had a surprise gift for about 10 years. I just give Izzy a list on Amazon and say, buy all of those, please. And then that's that. I don't want you to show any initiative at all.
Wow.
Those are the books I would like.
Yes, we've just begun. They don't call him Casanova.
Those are the books I would like. And if you deviate from this list, I'd rather you didn't buy anything. Because you'll get it wrong, and then it'll be a waste of money, and then I'll find
How was Father's Day for you, mate?
Well, at about...
What did you have, out of interest?
I let Izzy have a lie-in, and then she came down at about 9:30 and heard Radcliffe and McCorney on Six Music do a Father's Day shout-out, and she said, "Oh shit, is that today? Sorry." And I said, "Yeah, don't worry about it." And then my daughter went, "Oh, is that today?" And then she drew me a picture and coloured something in. And
I was telling, I had my kids brought me up breakfast in bed, but they're not allowed to use the toaster or the kettle or anything. They're too young, so they brought me up some Scottish pancakes, cold with no butter on, and a cup of milk. What was it? Breakfast in bed, which is fine because breakfast in bed is always disappointing anyway.
That's weird, I think.
Yeah.
Who likes that? Why is that romantic? But breakfast in bed, like it's like a treat for your wife or your husband to have breakfast in bed. You can be sat there with like fucking toast crumbs in your arse crack, having a romantic time of it.
Yeah.
And the place stinks every morning anyway, right? Yeah. I mean, if I was having toast in a restaurant that smelled that bad, I'd be seeing the manager fucking immediately. Jesus Christ! Can I have some toast, please, in a place that stinks of shit?
Your bedroom stink of shit.
Well, if you had a night on it, obviously. Just to clarify, I don't shit the bed. I mean, I have done. I'm not saying I haven't shit the bed ever, but it's my day, my rules.
Oh, it was a Father's Day treat. We're going to clean the sheets.
Oh man!
Oh yeah!
I shit the bed once. I was in Greece on holiday, right, with a Canadian girlfriend I had, and she said, because she came to Wales, she's like, "I want to see Europe. I'd like to see Europe." I said, "Okay, well we'll go to Europe." Okay, so we booked a holiday to Greece. So first day there, I got absolutely mortaled on like wine up in some Greek village, right? So long story short, I was on the piss of the bloke called Laszlo from Manchester, red moustache. I remember it, right? But we got battered, right? And this is before like mobile phones. But the last disposable camera of me stood on this fucking bench up in this village with Laszlo was hilarious, right? So, but anyway, long story short, we're in a place called the Sonyssos in Crete, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning, my first morning on holiday with this Canadian girl, I'm walking by her screaming, like really high pitched. I thought, God, something terrible's gone wrong, and I'd lost control because I was drinking this Greek like rough wine, right? With Laszlo. I shit everywhere, right? Awful.
If I did,
and then then classic self-defense, right? She's going, "You fucking animal, you're a fucking pig." Oh my God! I went classic.
Yeah.
How do you know it's me? Right. There was a laundrette in town. We didn't have one in the hotel, right? So I had to get a broomstick from with the place where they cleaned the pool. I got a broomstick and a blanket, and I sort of put all the sheets that I soiled in there, and tied it to a fucking. I had to walk into a Sonyssos
like a bindle.
So I paid my whatever it was, and I collected the sheets about 4 hours later, but she wasn't happy at all. I can't remember I got on that subject. Breakfast in bed.
If I shut myself on holiday with a new girlfriend, I would immediately set myself on fire. I cannot think of anything more humiliating.
You've got to tough it out. I don't normally do it. I was drinking this like rough. We were in this party in this village, and every time we held up an empty bottle of wine, they'd come and fill it up from these big, huge oak vats. Christ knows what it was.
Did it taste rough?
The first couple of bottles tasted quite rough, yeah. But then you get into it. Then,
Oh my god!
Laszlo was loving it.
So for round one, I've gone for this one from 1970. This is England against the rest of the world. It's the first Test match.
Ray Illingworth captains England against the rest of the world team led by Gary Sobers. A Test match designed to replace the ill-fated South African tour. Opening for England, Alan Jones and Brian Luckhurst.
So 1970 was supposed to be a South Africa tour. That got called off because of apartheid protests. So they decided to replace South Africa with a rest of the world setup, which included quite a few of the South African Test side as well, but with an awful lot of the world's best players in there too. I've picked this because of a Welsh guy called Alan Jones. This was his Test match debut, turned out to be his one and only international cap as well, except 3 years later they removed the international status of the match. So he got his international cap, played. He was one of the most successful domestic batsmen in English or Welsh cricket down the years, and this was his only chance. He scored 5-0 and hence was never selected again. But during his county championship career, so 1,000 first-class runs during a season is kind of the benchmark for a very good season for a batsman. Every season from 1961 to 1983, he scored 1,000 runs at least.
Bloody hell!
So why did he only get the one chance then?
Because it was an era of Edrich and boycotts, and
Was he an opening bat? Was he like?
yeah, he was. Yeah, so he's scored the most runs in first-class cricket without playing in an official Test. But he was at the time, it was a Test match. So he turns up, he plays, he has his England debut, doesn't get picked, and he, is reasonably gutted then for the next few years that he doesn't play again. He's got his cap, he's got a blazer, and then the Test and County Cricket Board, it would have been then, before the ICC kind of came in, just had a decision that it was against the rest of the world side, it shouldn't count as being a full
What a shit
international
trick
match.
after the event.
Isn't it?
I mean, you do that before the game, by all means. You say, listen, by the way, it's a non-cap international, okay. You don't give somebody the cap and then afterwards say, oh, by the way.
Oh, you'd be absolutely gutted.
I tell you what I couldn't believe on that, Steff, right? And it's weird seeing it black and white, because it always looks older than it is. It's only 1970. But it was that ground. You had some of the best cricketers in the world playing. And we think, like, low attendances of cricket is a modern phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no one there.
No.
I don't know
I
what the
think a
attendance
lot
was,
of people
but
didn't want to go because it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So it was supposed to be, South Africa against England, a full-blooded kind of Test match. But you had Clive Lloyd, you had Barry Richards, you had Pollock,
Gary Sobers, God.
Yeah, Sobers captain, it's like Farouk Engineer playing wicketkeeper. You know, that's a proper side.
You know how amazing it must feel to represent your country?
Yes.
You think, I am the best in my position at my chosen sport
Yeah.
in my country.
Even if it's just for that day.
But also, imagine the buzz if you're representing the rest of the world.
Oh, man. That'd be pretty cool.
Wow.
We're putting together a crack team of the
Yeah.
world's best cricketers.
Imagine if you're Gareth Edwards and you get voted the best rugby player in the world ever.
Yeah. A sport that's been played by millions of people over the years.
For 140 years.
You're the best one.
What are you like? I'm the best ever.
I'm the best one.
Are you the fellow with the statue outside Cardwell? That's me. I tell you what, watching that cricket, mate, it's only quite a short clip.
Yes.
Obviously, everyone knows about Sobers and the 6-6s. So I always knew he was, Sir Garfield Sobers was a hell of a batsman, obviously.
Yes.
I didn't know he bowled as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He took 5 for 8 in that test.
Yeah.
5 for 8.
Absolute ludicrous all round.
And he's known as a batsman.
It's slightly off topic, but I was reading.
No. We are
I
not
will not
having-
have it.
We will not have off-tapping.
But there was this time when I shut the bed.
Laszlo! Jesus Christ!
But cricket in that era, you were able to carry on for ages.
Yeah, the build on.
So
That's we've seen the shape on it.
So there was a cricketer called Brian Close.
Yeah.
Whose cricket career, first-class cricket career, lasted from 1948 until 1977.
That's
He
great.
played for England from 1949 to 1976. So he was
That's
40.
fantastic.
He was 45 playing for England.
What I quite like about Jones in this as well is that subsequently there have been, I think Australia played against the rest of the world side in 2005.
Yeah.
Might have been maybe later than that, but Peterson and Flintoff and a few others played in that, and the Aussies got given caps, and there started to be this sort of little groundswell of, well, maybe someone should have a rethink of this and a look at this, and maybe have a chat with.
Is that what it was? Is that how it started?
That's how it started, and then people have just ignored it. Do you know why? The initial response was, we can't give Alan Jones a retrospective cap because of the numbers that they now have.
Oh, of course, you get your 656 whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, well, we can't give him a cap from 1970 because it would just disrupt the order of everything.
Just give him the latest one now. Just
That's
give him
what
the
they've
next one.
done. So this week, they've given him a cap. And they've included him as an official England Test match player now.
Trevor now thinks he got capped after Jofra Archer.
Yeah, basically, yes. So he's on the all-time list as the latest one. And I really quite like the fact that in 30 years' time, someone will look through this and go...
So fair play to him in his 70s playing first-class cricket.
Alan Jones, born in 1930, 81, he got his first cap. I mean, he had a really long career, but that's amazing.
But, like, do you remember...
He was a plodder, though. He was a plodder. I can't believe they took his cap off him.
I can't think of many things that are worse in sport.
I mean, administrators tend to be dickheads anyway in most sports, right?
Just let the man have a... It doesn't matter, does it?
Sad.
Does it matter? Does anyone think it matters? That's all right. It might twist a few records here and there. But then...
name and shame.
If it doesn't mean it has to count as a official test match and all the stats have to count. That's kind of irrelevant.
It's always been a very statty sport, that's one thing I like about it. You know, but you got your Wisdons every year, and then people are really into cricket stats.
Yeah.
Are really into stats. I mean,
have you ever had a night out with Andy Zoltzman? Have you ever done gigs with Andy?
No, is he one of those?
Well, he does it for Test Match Special. now,
He's a stand-up
He's
comic.
the official statman. Yeah,
he's a stand-up comic
Yeah.
whose knowledge of cricket statistics. It's like going on the piss with a computer. He is a fantastic company. But
is it like averages and all
But
sorts,
Christ, yeah. And I mean pre-war stuff, and it's just absolutely
God.
extraordinary. And it's got brilliant terminology and idioms. It's things like, a sticky wicket is just... I love saying, a bit of a sticky wicket here when it comes to, like, doing gigs at the Beaufort Ballroom in Ebervale.
He's Bonjour Googly there, isn't he?
Do either of you know the positionings and stuff? Because I've played a little bit of cricket.
On the field?
But I never knew where any of the things
mid-on
were.
and all that kind
of
of
stuff.
So
people would say
I'm an
to me...
ECB level 1 coach, Stefan.
Whoa, really?
Of course I am. I taught PE for 12 years. You've got to do all your badges for all your different coaches, sports, didn't you? Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I can tell you your points and your extra
But
colours.
getting told to stand in these positions when you're just okay at sport and therefore got in the team.
Yeah.
But I don't know where any of those things are.
It's a wanker's trick. You shouldn't do that.
Just go and stand. Tell me to stand over there on the left,
Yeah, go stand,
right by the rope.
See that big lump of dandelions? Go and stand by there.
Yeah, go and stand. Just out of the way is what we mean, Steff.
I only played cricket for the school once, and I was on the boundary.
Yeah.
Year 7, so I'd been there for about 6 hours. Nothing had happened. I'd completely lost interest. I had no idea how many runs we'd scored, how many runs they'd scored. I didn't know what was going on. After about 2 hours, or whatever it was, the ball started rolling towards me. So I'm like picking flowers and just staring into space, because obviously it's the I've got a mobile phone, obviously, because it's 1992 and I'm in Form 1.
We'd have been texting otherwise.
Yeah. So
good reason.
I think I'd been looking at my digital watch for a bit, So suddenly I heard a lot of shouting and realised that...
Making sure your Pokemon hadn't died.
the Tamagotchi.
The Tamagotchi is
drowned. So they had a big batsman and he'd slogged it and it had come relatively near me, or I was the closest to the ball. So I'm like, fuck, I've got to throw this back now. So I picked the ball up and it is miles away, the wicket. Miles. I thought,
it's like
okay,
a snooker tape.
60 yards tops.
What am I going to do now? So I thought, if I throw it overarm, there's no way
you better not throw it underarm.
Right, there's no way it's going to get there.
Oh, you absolute
and then it's gonna land halfway, and then I'll have to chase it and then throw it again. That's going to look terrible.
A double throw looks awful.
A double throw looks bad. A double throw looks bad.
Throw and chase.
Yeah.
Throw, and no one else touches the ball before you throw it again.
I thought,
you've not done sport well that day.
I thought that's way too humiliating. So I thought, and also I can't just start running, because at what point do I throw it? Because bearing in mind I'm 11, right? So I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? And I thought, hang on, let's think outside the box here.
Okay.
I thought, if I underarm it,
yes,
but I sort of loop it, it will get such enormous height.
Yes.
That it will then, I'll kind
the planet will rotate.
The parameter will be in my favour, and then the wicket-keeper will just be able to catch it. So I thought, that's what I'll do. I thought I'll go for an underarm throw, but I'll really give it some welly.
God, what a disappointment.
Anyway, I gave it maximum welly, this underarm throw. But crucially, I let go of the ball slightly too late. Ended up letting go of it too late and threw it behind me.
4 runs.
Went out for 4. And then, obviously, I had to go and fetch it from past the boundary. It's now even worse.
Wind up 4 streets over.
Oh,
you should have just kept walking, mate. Just keep walking. We played this team down in Dartmoor, this staff team down there. And they had an American dude playing for him who'd never seen cricket. He was just a nice bloke. We went on the piss with him afterwards, right? But he was throwing the ball. He was bowling. You have to do. It's like 20 over game. You've got to do 2 overs each, right? Everyone's got to bowl 2 overs, no matter how bad you are. So he gets up there. He's bowling the ball like he's throwing a German stick grenade from like a World War II film. Just like lobbing it like straight arm. But he took like 3 wickets because the ball landed on top of the bails.
Clearing the batsman.
Oh, yeah, pinpoint accuracy from above.
Right, documentary time for this week. Elis, you are on point this week.
I think everyone has tremendously fond memories of their first major international football tournament. Yes. And I'm exactly the same. My one happens to be Italian 90. I loved Italian 90. In fact, I would say I enjoyed every single second of it. I've got no memory of Euro 88, no memory of Mexico 86, but Italian 90 I absolutely devoured. And if you want to talk about the historiography of Italian 90, it's changed a bit in that for a long time it was regarded as the worst World Cup ever.
Yes.
Red cards, so many penalty shootouts, lots of nil-nils, the lowest goal per game average in the history of the tournament.
Yeah.
Also, it was the most red cards ever. I think that record's been broken because there are more games in the World Cup. But the final obviously was a dirge. I lapped it up. I must admit I was completely enthralled by Gaza, who was just like a primary school. I was in primary school in 1990. I was 9 in June 1990, and he was like someone from primary school playing football for his country. And do you know what? When he cried, I don't think I'd seen a man cry, actually. Apart from maybe, I was thinking about this afternoon, Des from Neighbours, when Daphne's wife died. When he prays, he says he's going to be a good person if Daphne pulls through. I think it was Des and Gaza were the only 2 men I'd seen cry.
You're all about my fucking references, by the way.
Des from Neighbours.
Des from Neighbours. I'd never seen a grown man cry before.
Apart from an actor from Australia in
Anyway.
a daytime TV show.
Lunchtime soap opera.
But Roberto Baggio was incredible. I'd never seen him. I'd never seen Ruud Gullit play. I'd never seen Maradona play.
I'd never seen a dog get married until I saw that dog get married.
Yeah.
Neighbours.
I mean, I'd never seen a dog have a dream until Neighbours, Bouncer's Dream. Mrs.
I mean, you talk about cricket, the opening scene from that.
Yeah, Mrs. Mangle.
yeah.
yeah. Mrs. Mangle, obviously great.
And the fact they named the close after the Ramsey family. I just couldn't get over it.
I couldn't get past it. Influenced the man I am today.
Imagine being that popular. They've named the close after your family. So Max Ramsey. Ramsey close comes from the Ramsey family.
But I'd never seen school uniforms like they had at Erinsborough High, obviously. It was like a new world.
I'd never seen a girl called Lucy be 3 different people before. Until I saw Neighbours in the 80s.
Or Jason, or Scott Robinson, played by 2 actors.
He was 2, wasn't he?
Jason Donovan and Darius Perkins.
Oh, is it?
Who got thrown off set for smoking cannabis on set, and then they replaced him with Jason
On
Donovan.
set?
Anyway, so Scalacci was fantastic. I loved Italia 90, and I'm sure that the two of you remember the Video Diary series on BBC Two, where they would just give a person a video camera and say, record your life, and then it was shown on national telly. Well, Kevin Allen, Keith Allen's brother, who went on to direct and write, I think, Twin Town, made a video diary of Italia 90 following England fans' experiences. So that's my documentary for this week.
The municipal campsite I'd found was 35 kilometres from the stadium. I'd managed to get back quickly to sleep off the memories of that turgid 90 minutes. But others weren't so lucky. There was no transport laid on to get them back from the stadium, and later I heard there'd been some trouble at the station. I started to take stock of what and who was around me. I wandered around the campsite with a camera, but was conscious of drawing attention to myself. It immediately distanced me from the people I was sharing the campsite with.
Cabbage!
I got the feeling that they were uneasy, and if they were uneasy, I was uneasy. I kept a lowish profile and decided to take things just as they happened. One person who made me more at ease, though, was Gino, the manager of the campsite.
Please ring back in 5 minutes, right? Thank you.
I've only been to one international football tournament. I went to Euro 2016. I've never been just as a neutral, so if Wales hadn't qualified, I wasn't going. But I've done a lot of away trips abroad as well, and I mean, there's a lot to say about this documentary. It is hilarious how badly organised Italia 90 is.
Yeah.
And also just how scared the Italians were of English football hooligans, which is fair enough, obviously, because of Heysel in 1985, English clubs were still banned at the time. But, there's this midnight curfew at the campsite, and if you're still singing Rule Britannia at 12:06, the Italian police wade in with machine guns. And also, what I love about it, in fairness to Kevin Allen, I don't know what he was doing at the time. I think he'd done a little bit of acting. I don't know how well off he was, but he was roughing it. I mean, his car
that campsite,
his car breaks down the campsite horrendous. Yeah.
It's all shot in sort of 360 definition, isn't it? It's really low res.
Yeah.
It's the sort of, if you were into adult stuff, I don't do it, but you would skip through it. I mean, it's very low resolution. That campsite, I thought, fuck me, is this an official?
It's awful.
It looked like waste ground.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then he's got that
and his tent looks
rubbish
appalling.
tent.
Yeah,
it's made out of baker foil, as far as I can tell.
Is that even a tent? What is it? It's just like a piece of material he's trying to tie to a tree.
What I love about it, for Euro 2016, when England and Wales were drawn in the same group, obviously I'm a big Wales fan, and Josh Widdicombe, who's one of my best mates, is a big England fan. So we're like, let's try and make a TV programme where we go to France together, and then we go to the match, and then we film it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have cameras trained on us for the game, and then we can meet up afterwards. Absolutely inconceivable. UEFA won't allow any of that stuff.
No.
Really?
So even though the BBC were behind it, that's not enough. So UEFA are so strict on that kind of thing. So it was the idea was kiboshed. And Kevin Allen would have one of those huge video cameras that we had at primary school, and he just walks in with it. That's the thing I find amazing.
Imagine the amount of things you haven't got into grounds carrying.
Yeah, I've had aftershave and sort of stuff taken off.
Flags in the same program. You can't take a flag in with writing.
Yeah.
But he can take a shoulder camera and a recording kit with him.
But he's turning up at a World Cup in a football-mad country, and he hasn't got tickets. He's a member of the England Travel Club. He's paid £10 to be a member of the England Travel Club, and that's all he's got. He hasn't even got tickets for the game. So the island, he's often in the wrong end.
Yes.
But even I would say at League Two, I don't think you could get a video camera into a League Two ground. I don't think. You certainly couldn't in the Premier League or the Championship. Absolutely no chance.
Well, you couldn't just rock him and watch the team train like you did.
No. Yeah. And then Bobby Robson agrees to meet him.
Like him and a nun. And then he does, to be fair, the lamest interview ever with Bobby Robson, and he admits it's lame.
Yeah,
I quite like that.
Because he's got the interview and he just says, "I didn't know what to ask."
Yeah, I completely fell apart. It just reminded me of
5 minutes. He's like, "Yeah, it's nice."
Every fan on social media, if they were actually confronted with the person who they're critical of the tactics of.
Now the thing with Bobby Robson, everyone forgets this, but because England got to the semi-final, but. My God, he was loathed by the press.
Yes.
Prior to Italia 90, he said that he was going to go to either PSV or Barcelona. I'm trying to think which one it was. And he said, this will be my last tournament. And he was hated for that as well. But you're like, well, you've got what you wanted. You've been campaigning to get rid of him for years. So then, England do so well. They get to the last four. Gaza is this fabulous player, and he was only 23 at the time.
What a player.
Never played another World Cup. Where it's the idea of turning up at a football ground.
He said there were like 5,000 empty seats in that first game.
Yeah. But you're at a municipal campsite, which I quite like the phrase. At a municipal campsite on the off chance that you're going to get a ticket outside a bus for the semi-final of the World Cup.
There's 3,000 people in the queue.
Yeah, because Gino them.
Yeah, fantastic.
There's that bit. It's so innocent in a way. I know there's a lot of they touch on hooliganism, and there's a couple of lads that are trying to kick him around the place, and there's times when he's genuinely terrified, and he mentions it, which I think is really good reporting.
Yeah.
There's something really innocent about it. There's the things you don't see. Like I was thinking when they're all sort of, we're all on the march with Bobby.
Yeah.
This sort of like, on that sort of England. I was just thinking, my God, this when they're in the campsite and they're leaving Sardinia to go back to the mainland for the knockout stages, and they have a whip round and a presentation for Genie.
Yes, yeah.
And there's some bloke who makes himself the de facto committee man. I thought, this is superb. Right? Just want to call upon Gino to say a couple of words, please. Gino. And Gino gets up there and says, we're all brothers and we can all get on with each other, and we have this love of football and each other, and we get to see each other, and I think it's very good, and I wish you all the very best for us tournament. And then the next thing is him fucked off. 70 of them fucked off without playing.
Yeah. Also,
he's phoned Interpol with their passport.
He's
fucking
about
bastard.
20 minutes later.
He's also, because of the kind of people who supported England away from home in those days. There's some pretty unsalubrious characters. And it's after the semis. They've lost to Germany, so they've been knocked out. And he's on that campsite with people he's known since Sardinia. So the Leeds fans, the Wigan fans, the Jersey boys, and then the Chelsea fans. And he's filming them, and they're all obviously ridiculously hungover. It's the morning after the night before. And they're all talking about, like, oh, I can't wait to have a fucking cup of tea. Jeez, bloody hell, I can't wait to have a cup of fucking tea. Imagine a cup of tea. Oh, I can't wait to have a cup of tea.
Sausage.
Yeah.
Eggs. And the other guy goes, black pudding.
They've hated every second of Italy.
Yeah.
And there's just something about how amateurish Italia 90 was. So the San Siro, which is one of my favourite football grounds ever, was built for the tournament. Because obviously we all know how much the Italians love their football. But the organisation of it, like the England fans for the semi-final, they've got 2,000 tickets.
And they're selling them out of a bus.
And
And Germany had 30,000.
Yes.
And there's the old fellow who's going, How many?
Yeah.
30,000. So how many? 30,000. How many? You love your politics, Al, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking this, right? You imagine, like, and you go away with Swansea and away with Wales. I think it was a much more political time then, right? People are a bit more switched on. It's about more an innocent time.
Yeah.
There's those two fellas, and one's a good-looking bastard, and one of the Liverpool, is a Liverpool boy. What was he saying? I was going, yeah, the thing is, like, it's that Colin Moynihan, isn't it? Colin Moynihan, yeah. You know they're called Moynihan's, only all the boys are Colin Moynihan, Lord Ho-Ho, yeah, because he was a traitor, wasn't he? I thought, you're talking about, like, Lord Ho-Ho, like a propagandist from the Second World War. So I wouldn't even know, I don't think people would know now who the sports minister is.
Well, the thing with Colin Moynihan, he was loathed by football fans.
He gets mentioned a lot in that.
He was detested by football fans because he tried to introduce the ill-fated football ID card scheme. You just realise the state football was in 1985. And the clubs get banned.
Yeah.
I think a lot of football fans thought that Moynihan hadn't worked hard enough with UEFA to try and minimise the ban, because Everton fans in particular are very bitter about it.
Yeah.
Very, very bitter about it, because they would have been eligible for the European Cup the year after, having won the Cup Winners' Cup, as league champions. Very good side, that mid-80s Everton team. If you were going to games in those days, like John Peel at rock festivals would get booed for reading out football results, you were a bit of a pariah. I mean, it's difficult to imagine now.
But that's what I quite liked about this documentary. It was kind of reminding me, because Italia 90 is seen as one of the turning points.
Yeah, that and Fever Pitch in the Premier League, yeah.
Remembering why my parents would worry more if I was going to a football match than a rugby match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This really reminded me of that. But also, what I like about this is it shows both sides of it. It doesn't brush over.
What I liked about it is the way. No, it doesn't. But he says that if you keep treating people a certain way,
yes,
and accuse them of a certain thing, and you keep, you bring the carbonarian all the time, and you're very heavy-handed, then if you want a reaction, that's the way to get a reaction.
Yes.
After a week, 10 days of that, people are going to.
It's self-fulfilling.
Anybody would snap, wouldn't they? I thought it was really evenly done. He doesn't. There's the couple of bits when he was genuinely terrified.
Yes.
I'm not scared to say it, because the way that England fans were portrayed for 10 years, anyone with a camera was seen as part of the enemy.
Yes, that's true.
You were, what you're reporting on.
Yeah.
You couldn't say, well, I'm just, because those things weren't done. You didn't have fan videos of boys going away with the team. You probably would have been seen as a member of the media that wanted to slate England fans back home.
I also love the fact that his car breaks down. Inevitably, because he's driven from bloody London or wherever he lives to the south of Italy.
There's one bit when his car breaks down and he says, I wish the AA would come and basically tow my car and take the camera with me, because it's a pain in the ass. Because he wants to be watching the football with his mates. He doesn't want to be lugging around that big camera everywhere.
Let's go for round 2 of clips. I wasn't going to go next, but I will, because I've gone for... This was prior to the 98 Football World Cup, and I think it's quite a nice contrast to Kevin Allen's World Cup diary. So this is the Nike advert for the Brazil team, which is the one in the airport, which had that song behind it. I just think it's a huge contrast to 90 to get to 98. You're only 8 years later.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And this is the level of production being put into what is going to be the biggest team in the world at the time. You can't imagine Maradona's team doing keepy-ups in an airport.
Or the West Germans with Matthias and Klinsmann and Bremer and Voller. Football in fiction or fictionalised television and film looks absolutely terrible. What football does lend itself to fantastically well is adverts. If you get the best footballers on the planet to do tricks in an advert, and Nike in particular as well are brilliant at this. They made some superb adverts over the years.
Well, I'll go with that team, though.
Oh, this is the thing, isn't it? I think they get forgotten because, well, they lost the final against France.
Yeah. Romario.
And France was obviously the real heartfelt story of that World Cup.
And Ronaldo's weird sort of migraine thing prior to the final.
But Ronaldo gets overlooked.
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. He is extraordinary on a YouTube highlights reel.
You read stuff from Zidane or from Figo. Anyone who played with him will say that he is the best one they played with.
Well, I had to choose Wales' greatest ever 11 for scoring on S4C the other day.
You put Ronaldo in it?
No, but
he's
especially strikers. Wales have had some amazing strikers over the last 60 or 70 years. So, Trevor Ford and then John Toshak and Ian Rush and Mark Hughes and John Charles and Ivor Allchurch. But then you think, fuck, imagine doing it for Brazil. Where do you... Ronaldinho, Romario, Careca...
Pele on the bench.
Ronaldo, Pele, Jairzinho, Garrincha, Socrates. How on earth do you distill that into 11?
I think Ronaldo suffers, if that's the right word, from Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
Especially with younger fans.
Yes.
You talk about Ronaldo, they always think you mean Cristiano Ronaldo.
And also he had terrible injuries, especially at the tail end of his career. But
he still came back and had the time. Well, he won the World Cup in 2002.
Yeah, but my God, late 90s when he's at PSV and then Barcelona.
Inter.
Was he big? He looked big for a footballer. He was
chubby, definitely.
He became very muscular very quickly, and then he had problems with his knees. From memory, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff he was doing for Barcelona, in his pre-Galacticos age, it's jaw-dropping what he was capable of. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree. But they're all capable of those amazing tricks. Ronaldinho, what a fantastic footballer he was.
It must be to do with... Well, I mean, lots of those lads grew up in extreme poverty. So your football is not, kicking a ball around a massive pitch.
Yeah.
It's playing on the street with your mates in enclosed, in small spaces with what you've got to hand. You know what I mean? So it's all about close skills.
Let's stick with skills then. Mike, your clip for this round.
Okay, yeah, this was... I can't take full credit for this selection. This was one of our lovely podcast followers on Twitter.
You know who you are.
He knows who he is. Or she, I don't know. I mean, there's a difference in caring and knowing.
Yeah,
right? I care, I just don't know, right? Well, in fact, if people give me ideas for stuff, by all means get in touch with us after it goes out on the Tuesday. And I'll give you the credit for it.
Happily reply to your tweet.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a tosser, right? But so anyway,
it just comes to
I'm one of those natural tossers you hear so much about.
There is no effort involved in this.
It's second nature, honest to God. It's first nature.
Tosser DNA.
My old man was a tosser.
Come from a long line of tossers.
Yeah, I actually think my son might grow up to be a twat.
And if he's not, I want a DNA test. Kelly? What? Why is he not a tosser? Have you been carrying on with somebody who's not a tosser?
Imagine if that's how you found out that your wife was cheating on you because you had you had a son that wasn't a tosser.
One of our lovely podcast listeners, who I think is best remains nameless because
it's better that way. It's easier.
Yeah, they don't want to get.
They don't want to develop an ego. They're not doing online.
Not doing it for credit, are they?
No, not doing it for that. It's an
intrinsic. Doing it for the love of podcasting.
Here's the thing, right? We studied intrinsic and extrinsic reward in a sports degree, right? These people that get in touch with the podcast and with us, purely for the love of the podcast.
Yeah. Right? They're amateurs, aren't they? They're like rugby union before the game open.
They want to keep that amateur status.
If we start bigging people up by name for doing these sort of
things, they won't be able to compete in the 1976 Olympics.
Well, what will happen? You laugh, but what will happen is at first they'll love it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But then if 1 week we forget to give them a name check,
oof,
they'll hate us.
Now,
that's
a good point.
See, because This has been proven time and time again.
Yeah.
If you play football for nothing,
Yes.
you'll keep playing football for nothing, right? And you play because you love it. If someone then says to you, "I'll give you £100 a game," oh, brilliant! I'm getting £100 a game for doing something I love.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Next season, the club hasn't got the money. They say, "Listen, Mike, we can only pay you £50 a game." Fuck you, then I'm not playing. Right? This is what happens. So as soon as you bring in an extrinsic reward, that becomes the reward. So what I'm trying to do here is keep the listeners honest by not giving them a reference.
Yes.
Right? And then they'll keep sending stuff into us.
Yeah.
Anyway, this lovely listener, male, female, we don't know, suggested this. I would never have chosen this in a million years. This is why I love this podcast. I'm seeing things that I wouldn't choose to watch myself, right? So this is a fella called Danny MacAskill, who is a sort of extreme bike rider, Scottish fella. Just watch this clip. This is absolute. And before you watch it, please go on the YouTube channel and watch this, because it's important to stress this isn't CGI. There's a bit at the end of this video when he shows the mistakes that he's made. This is all what you see is what you get. He did all these things himself.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness today.
Right, I can't believe it. Until I watched the outtakes, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenally skillful, right?
Yes.
But also, he's got balls of brass. The bit when he's on the two high bars. So if you haven't seen the video, Danny MacAskill goes into a gym. The premise being that he wants to have a workout, but with his mountain bike, and he just does some insane shit with gym equipment.
Even the first bit where he bounces across the dumbbells that are upended, and they all fall over one by one.
His balance and coordination is at
it's different class.
Supernatural levels.
He's like a mountain goat. It's just unbelievable to watch.
They always used to say that the reason players like George Best and even Ryan Giggs didn't get horrendous injuries was they had such amazing balance. They could ride difficult challenges.
Yeah.
Part of me wanted to say, listen, you've clearly been blessed with this incredible sense of balance. Put it to use in a sport that's going to make you money.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I think this is where things like Red Bull have come into extreme sports, right? Like when I was a kid, without being too harsh, a kid's ability to wheelie a bike was like inversely proportional to his household's income, right? So the kids,
Yeah.
the rough kids could all wheelie.
Yeah, and do bunny hops.
If you watched Tiswas and you were rough, you could wheelie, right? If you watched Swap Shop and you were posh, you couldn't wheelie. I bet you've never wheelied down. You're middle class.
Do you know
Can
what?
You wheelie?
Do you know
Haven't
what?
got the guts to do it.
Yeah.
Stefan has never wheelied. You're too busy skiing, right?
And yet,
Ellison.
I knew I could name you the wheelie kids. I mean, their Facebook profile photos, some of them are pretty fruity. They've got some
There we go.
very interesting attitudes to politics, I noticed, during the 2019 general election.
Yeah, fairly inflexible.
Focused.
All right? Yeah. Someone's got to be to blame for my shit lot in life. Is it you?
It's not me.
No way, mate.
No.
I know whose fault it isn't. Mine. You know whose fault this is, don't you? No. Anyway, I'm not saying everyone who can do a wheelie was a racist. I'm just saying that these days that isn't the case, right? That's all I'm saying. So Danny, right?
Yes.
Hell of a bike rider, right? Must be making a decent living off Red Bull.
Yes.
Right?
He hasn't slept for 2 years. That's all he drinks.
Yeah, he's absolutely wired.
Yeah. Terrible digestive problems.
Do you want another take? Let's do another take. Come on, let's do another take, guys. Come on, everybody. Film. Ready? Let's go.
Danny's quite irrational, isn't he?
God, he's ratty, isn't he? He's so ratty, Danny. I reckon they're like Colombian drug lords. They don't actually drink the Red Bull themselves.
Yeah.
They're peddling it to us.
They're peddling Red Bull to us. They don't take that shit. If you're listening from Red Bull,
More than happy.
Yeah,
more than happy to peddle it, guys.
Yeah. Well, relentless. Just get in touch.
Monster. We'll peddle all of them.
All of them, yeah. Speed, whatever. We will plug anything.
We were sponsored by Speed.
If you're from the illegal drug Speed and you would like to...
If you're from the British Speed Marketing Board, back in the days when you used to see adverts for potatoes, just generic potatoes on British television, because I was so blown away by that, and the outtakes are superb. Like Al said about the balance, if you stalk him a little bit, like I did after watching.
Okay.
It, he did a thing called the Ridge. And it's in the Hebrides or it's somewhere. It's absolutely mind blowing.
Yes,
right? But it is proper palms soaking wet, vertigo inducing stuff that he's doing. Right, Christ, what he does on a bike, and talk about having complete faith in not just your ability but your equipment.
Yeah.
I was watching that thinking, okay, he's got along this probably 8-inch wide ridge at one point, which got to have a virtually sheer drop, hundreds of feet on both sides. Right?
Yeah.
No thanks.
Thinking, not only are you nuts to do that and super skilled, right? But that is ultimate trust in your machine.
Yeah. What if your chain comes off?
Because if at any point that chain comes off, or one of your brakes fails, or the steering wobbles, right? You're dead. As simple as that.
Yeah.
You are dead.
No, thank you.
I haven't got that. I haven't got that gene. I haven't got that.
No.
That death-defying gene.
The thicko gene.
Yeah.
Thicky gene.
He's actually quite thick.
Yeah. What it is, he's what we call in Wales. So.
Right, Al, what have you brought for round number 2?
My final clip is the most controversial moment of one of the most controversial athletes of my childhood. So this is Zola Bud, quotation marks, tripping Mary Decker at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. So I have quite vivid memories of Zola Bud as a kid growing up. And she was on the news an awful lot because she was South African and there was the boycott of South African athletes and sports people.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail persuaded Zola Bud's father to encourage her to apply for British citizenship on the grounds that her grandfather was British, so that allowed her to circumvent the international sporting boycott of South Africa, which then meant she could compete in the 84 Summer Olympics. And then, obviously, it was hugely controversial because the boycott was there for a reason. She'd broken the world record, but it was unratified, so everyone knew that she was good. And then Mary Deck obviously was the most talented she was the most talented athlete in her field. So it was
whiner though. What a whiner! Oh my!
So it was the two of them racing. So Zola Bud is in the lead and Mary Decker's behind her, and Mary Decker trips over Zola Bud, even though usually you would think, common sense would say, that the onus is on the person, the trailing athlete, to ensure that they don't get their legs tangled with the person who's at the front. Now, both Zola Bud and Mary Decker weren't used to running in a pack because they tended to come out the blocks very quickly, lead from the front, and then win. But obviously, it's the final of the Olympics, so they're all great runners. So they'd clashed and had got tangled a couple of times before this eventually happens, and then Mary Decker falls. Now, I can accept that her entire life has led up to that point, and she's at her peak. And
don't excuse her.
The Olympics, and it's a home Olympics as well. She's American. It's in LA. So she falls, and that's it. She's out. She falls quite heavily. There's no chance of catching up with the field.
Well, she could have, but she didn't.
I'd have had a go. She bloody cries though.
Doesn't she?
Now, the British press came out in favour of Zola Bud and said that it was Decker's fault. The American press all blame Zola Bud.
I don't know enough about athletics to be an expert on it, but like you've said already, Al, if you watch the way when Zola's running, she can't see her. It's not even that they're side by side.
No.
She's behind her, right? She spiked her once.
It's not in her peripheral vision, and she doesn't have a rear view mirror. She's a human.
And there's some Americans saying no one falls like that. No one puts their leg out to the side.
Yeah.
Well, of course you do. You'd sit, right? She'd already been spiked once by Mary's
and she's running in her bare feet, so
she falls over, stumbles, puts her leg out sideways to try and regain balance. She falls over. It's patently, obviously not Zola Bud's fault, right? And the fact that there's any sort of controversy there just blows my... I can't believe it. But Slaney's on the deck, right? Like, massive mouth, crying her head off, right? The bloke runs over and panders to her, which is the worst thing to do if someone's doing that, right? Slaney's come out since then. Like, it might have taken years.
Yeah.
But she has come out and said that that was not Zola's fault. What I remember about Mary Slaney was she...
Decker.
Sorry, Mary Decker. She married Richard Slaney.
Yes, yeah.
So she was married Decker Slaney for a long time, wasn't she? And he was like... Was he a shot putter or a discus thrower?
Yeah, he was a British discus thrower, wasn't he?
He also played, I think, American football for when in the 80s when American football got big in Britain, around the Channel 4.
Was he the Monarchs?
I think he played for well before that. He played for there was some like the Crawley Raiders or something. There were some great names back in those days. Honest to God, they're
the Lowestoft Pistons.
Oh mate, that would be one of the best names. Genuinely, you had like the Dunstable. The Dunstable Cowboys was a real team. I shit you not, the Dunstable Cowboys. Northampton Stormbringers, Bournemouth Bobcats, the London Ravens, the Streatham Olympians, the Birmingham Bulls. Oh man, I played American football. First season in university, I played American football. I only managed half a season, right? I just couldn't handle the dickheads there. It was fierce. So, I remember the first game we played, the coach was like... when the defence are on, we're all going to sort of slap our pads and shout defence. I said, right, I'm not going to do that. Defence. I said, right, I won't be chanting anything, right? I especially won't be calling it defence. That won't be happening, right? Pianist. But there's a lot of that sort of thing going on.
What time is it? Game time. Huh.
Oh, mate, that's what it was
off.
Like. We had a bloke there, I think his name was Tony Payne, right? Yeah, they call me TP. I said, all right, yeah, why is that then? My name's Tony Payne. I said, all right, yeah, that makes sense. Also, it stands for Total Package. I was like, oh, fucking do one. So he thought his self-given nickname was the Total Package.
Total something.
I thought, you got to be put on my leg, mate. So after my first game, I ended up down in Kiwis. We used to drink in Kiwis after the game.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Can you explain the concept of Kiwis to anyone who has never been to Cardiff?
It was a nightclub with something for everybody. Right?
I mean, literally, yes.
And this bloke comes up, and I think I scored 4 touchdowns. Right? So I'm there, this little prick comes up to me, he goes, yeah, heard you had quite a good game today. I said, yeah, it was all right, I enjoyed it. I said, no, I run around here. He said, yeah, you want to... yeah, of course, university ball. He actually said the words university ball, right? I wanted to fucking slap him immediately, right? Yeah, the problem with university ball is, it's not as tough as the real thing. I went, yeah, well, yeah, probably, yeah. He said, so if you ever want to try any of that shit on with us, then when you come over and try out for the Newport Mustang.
Right, book time. Elis, what have you brought for books this week?
I've gone for an absolute classic. It is Eamon Dunphy's Only a Game. I have the 40th anniversary edition. So Eamon Dunphy was a midfielder for Millwall and the Republic of Ireland. He's probably the best player in Millwall's history. And he wrote a fantastic diary of the 1974-75 season, which has gone on to become one of the absolute classics of football literature. It's exceptional. Obviously, the game has changed an enormous amount in that time, but he's a brilliant writer. He's a hugely popular and well-respected pundit over in Ireland. Still is. He's been a pundit on their TV coverage for decades now. But it's just great, and it's very, very unsentimental and authentic, and it's a really, really cracking read. So that's Only a Game by Eamon Dunphy.
Mike, what have you got?
Right, I feel really bad about this because I phoned up Steff in the week. You know this, Steff, and I said, mate, have you sent me a book? Because a book arrived earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming a listener has sent in to me, which means they would have got in contact with me and I would have given them my address.
This is right? More worrying than anything.
So I'm trying to go through my Twitter to find out who this was. So thank you very much. So I've just started reading this on Wednesday, and it is, Elle, you will love this book. You will absolutely love it, right? You'll know him. I hadn't heard of him, I'm sorry to say, but I do now. Eamon McGee. I'll just read you the back cover. So this is Eamon McGee. He says, a book, listen. I've been beaten with baseball bats. I've had my throat slashed. I've been kidnapped. I've been exiled from my own country. My family's been held captive in our home. I've been shot twice. I've been to prison. My son's been stabbed to death. Amongst all that, I was the welterweight champion of the world while drinking the bar dry and doing enough coke to kill a small horse every night. My life's not a book, it's a fucking movie script.
So I've gone for a book called Danish Dynamite, the story of football's greatest cult team. It's by 3 guys, one of whom is a listener to the podcast, a guy called Mike Gibbons. It's written by Rob Smith and Lars Eriksson as well. You're not supposed to judge books by their covers, but this book's cover is the 1986 Danish football kit from the Mexico World Cup.
The Hummel one.
Immediately I'm in.
I mean, we have to mention the Wales Hummel kit from 1987 to 1990, which is one of the great football shirts.
And by the way, Steff, you can judge a book by the cover, which is why people do it all the time. If you couldn't do it, you wouldn't give your phone to someone who looked like a twat on holiday to take a photograph of you and your missus, because he's probably going to be a twat.
So my judgment on the cover was that this is going to be a fantastic book. And it is. It's yeah, so you're right. You are right. We're both right. I'm a little bit right. You're more right.
And I'm neutral.
Are you saying I'm far right? Is that what you're trying to say?
This is centrist.
Oh yeah, third way.
The third way. Can I just say I'm not far right? Please.
It covers the period before Denmark win the Euros. So they win the Euros in 92, but that's not the team that is cool. In the 70s, up until the 70s, Denmark refused to pick professional players for their national team.
Really?
Yeah. So all these guys would go off, they'd be at the Olympics, and they'd be really good at the Olympics. They get signed for teams in Italy or wherever in Spain, and they could never play for their country again. That was them done. So until the sort of late 70s, and you go from the late 70s through until, well, the 84 Euros, they were fantastic. The 86 World Cup, they were fantastic. 88 Euros, they kind of snuck in because Wales should have got through from their qualifying group, and Denmark somehow kind of managed to fudge their way through because Wales mess it up at the end like we always used to. And then 92, they go on and win it. But this is kind of that journey, and this is that. What I will say is it's written by 3 people. It reads like it's not written by 3 people. So if you kind of look at it, it's got 3 authors, and you think, oh, that'll be terror. It's not. It really reads like a narrative written by one person. Right, that is us for this week, gentlemen. Thank you for your company.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.